I want to bring you up to speed. We've launched the update. I hope there's not too many errors. You'll see there's a new feel and look to this website. You're going to use exactly the same login details that you've done before. So when you log in, you're going to click on the login, and this is the way that it's going to look. So you'll see it looks different. In terms of your account, you can update your profile picture. You simply go to your wherever the image may be, and you go and take that, and it will automatically do that. The crypto summary, if you're new to this, this is our, let's call it a summary, to a quick glance to see what you can buy and what we suggest you do not buy at the price that it is today. This is the current price, the way that we see it currently. In other words, for example, if it says buy, you buy. If it says hold, you do not buy. And of course, if it says sell, unless you've got it, you're not going to sell. Also, be careful for the sells. Just because it's a sell signal, please go back to the training. I do not necessarily sell just because there's one sell. Okay, simply have a look at the Dreyer crypto psychological indicator. If that gives me a sell and I've got sells, then for the first time will I sell. Otherwise, I will not necessarily sell. Okay, so that's a quick glance in terms of this. By the way, if you're new or if it's the first time that you look at this, what now says a buy and a hold will not necessarily, because this is a live a program, the signals changes the whole time. The training, the free training, that's going to stay there. We're going to add more training specifically for these groups. There's a program that runs only on the free training. They will not see the rest, but it's the same program. It's just, we call it that the trainees part. And then we've got the Dreyer crypto strategy portion. This is what you're on, as well as the wealth creators method portion. So the two are going to use the same basics. The only difference between the Dreyer crypto strategy and the wealth creators method is that in the method we're going to use the techniques and the strategies that I'm going to teach you in the wealth creators method mentoring. How to use that in order to bring the risk down. In other words, to get a far better growth. But the basics are going to stay exactly the same. One of the things that I can tell you, if you're on the Dreyer crypto strategy and you are thinking of maybe upgrading, well, I will suggest to upgrade as quickly as possible. You'll see the difference as we progress. But simply go on the wealth creators method option. This is what you're going to get additional. And on top of that, of course, the mentoring. Now, please do not click on this buy now button. We need to change that. Simply phone the office or email the office and ask them for a quote. The reason for that is they're going to take into consideration what you've already paid for the Dreyer crypto strategy, as well as if you've got any of the other courses. So that we mentioned there. So they will bring that into consideration, give you a quotation, and then you can decide. It will be a better price than this, I can promise you. Okay, I'm going to close that. Let's get back. Right, the next part is the portfolio. And this is the portfolio that you've added. Now, if you're new, of course, you're going to start. There will be basically nothing. Right, in terms of there's a zero, and the reason for this is the reason why this is a zero, even if you've got a portfolio, is because at this stage we did not capture how many coins you had. So this is the update is how many coins do you have, and then it's going to update, and I'm going to explain that to you now. So if you click on the second tab there, it says cryptos. Then the first thing that you're going to get is this notification. And the notification is, please, before you make any changes, you just click OK. But what it reminds you of is before you do any changes, make sure that you click on the date and that you get the oldest date on top. So it will sort by the oldest to the newest date. And the reason for this is simply if you make any changes, right? Because we start tracking the growth on your portfolio and because there's already a lot of data that you've captured. we need to get the sequencing right, because we want to determine how much money flows out of your pocket to determine the real growth. So one of the other changes that we've made in the past, we worked on average growth. Now we're going to work on the weighing growth. In other words, let me give you an example. Say, for example, you've got $10,000, and if you've divided that by 10 coins, you're going to get a total different outcome than if you've got $10,000 and $9,000 is, as an example, on Bitcoin, and 1,000 will be the other coins. Okay, and for that reason, we want to calculate that. There's another reason that we are doing, and this is more for the method students, but it's going to work for the Dreyer crypto strategy students as well. And that is simply, when there's funds available, the program is going to make the assumption that you're going to use the funds, the cash available that you've got, to start buying the coins. So if I go now to the cash, you'll see that there's absolutely nothing under the cash. So let's start with this portfolio, and I'm going to say that this is all that you've captured. Now, of course, yours is going to look completely different, but once we've gone through this, you'll see exactly what I mean. So remember the date. Make sure that, okay, now we need to just click on it again so that we sort from the oldest date to the newest date. Now, you've bought this, or this person, on the 12th of November 2018, and that was the price. So all of this you've captured, but we haven't allowed you in the past to capture how many coins. So now you simply go back to Binance or Luno or Polynix or wherever you've bought the coins, and you're going to go to the actions, click on that, and say update coins. Okay, so let's assume that you've bought, what can we say, just 1,000,5678 coins. Right, now please make sure that this is a comma, right, and not a decimal point, a point, because otherwise the program is not going to take it. Okay, and you simply say save. So what the program now does, it takes the value when you bought those coins at that price. What was the total value? And that was $55.61. Okay, so the latest price at the moment, when you bought, it was 0.05558 per coin, and now at the moment the value is 0.6885. Therefore the latest value is $68. So you bought, it cost you 55, it's now 68, and therefore the gains or the growth on that is 23.87%. Right, now there's something else that I want to show you. You'll see there the source, own funds. So if you go to the cash, you'll see that in the cash it's your own funds. Right, so this is the starting point, and it's going to add up all the own funds to determine what's the return on your investment. Let's go back to the cryptos. Again, the warning, just to make sure that the dates are sorted in the right order. And now I'm going to make the assumption, there should not be a lot of this, but I'm going to make the assumption that on the 5th of the 1st, you've sold all of your Cardanos. Now, first of all, I need to capture how many you had, and then I'm simply going to click on the action step on that line, right? Because I want to change that, and I want to say update coins. So now I'm going to update the coins, and I'm going to say you are selling all of the coins, or you sold all of the coins. So we save, we update, and now a lot of things are going to happen. Okay, because you've already captured at what price you sold it for. It's simply going to say, okay, that was the price that you bought it for at that specific at that time, and this price is the price that you sold it for. So you received $60.04 for this, right? So the latest price has actually got nothing to do with this unless you are selling it today. But then you're going to put in the price, because the price, this latest price, is the price that the program that we are getting from the exchanges. But during the day, there will be different prices. So you're going to capture the price at which you sold it, and that's going to be the price. But you've already captured this in this scenario, and that's the reason why we're not going to do it. So the growth on that is 7.96. Of course, if you've waited till today, it would be a different thing. And now you've got that cash. So let's go and have a look at the cash, how it looks. So you'll see that there's on the 5th, the 12th of 11, 2018, out of your own funds, and now suddenly you receive back $60, and that basically comes from the cryptos, but it's basically in cash. You've got that in your portfolio. So if you're going to buy more coins after that date, it simply is going to say, okay, but I'm getting that coins from $60 out of my current portfolio, and the rest will come out of my pocket. So let's go back to cryptos. You're going to get the notification. I think let's just check it. And let's assume then on the 23rd of the 2nd. Now remember, you've already got $60 in cash there. Okay, I'm going to buy a Bitcoin, or I've bought Bitcoin, and the price at that point that I've bought it for was $3,930. Right, we haven't got the coins. This is what we're going to put in now. So I'm simply going to go to the actions, update coins, and let's assume just for now I've bought one Bitcoin, right? Just one Bitcoin. I'm going to say save. Now, before I actually click on save, I want to tell you what's going to happen. It's simply going to have a look at, okay, but how many Bitcoins? Let's have a look. As you can see now, suddenly there's 2 transactions. So it took the $60 that you had, and it said, okay, there's the $60. That's the amount of Bitcoins that you are going to take out of your portfolio, in other words, in terms of your cash flow. And the balance, the 0.984723, that is from own funds again. There you can see it, own funds, cash. So the program is literally going to track your cash flow plus your growth on your cash flow, because this is a way that we calculate the growth is on your own cash that flows out of your pocket. And therefore you'll see that the actual weighted growth we've bring in something that we haven't brought in on the old program. And the average, you don't actually need to look at that once all of this is done, because this actual weighted, that growth is what's going to show when you go to your portfolio summary. Now we see that the crypto balance is $6,800. Your own funds that it cost you for this whole portfolio was $3,000, and therefore the growth is 74.02. So if we go back to the cash, there you'll see exactly what happened and how it happens in order to determine your own cash, and therefore in terms of the cryptos, what was the growth on your investment. I'm going to give you one more just so that you start getting the feeling and see how this program can work. Say for example, now I've got 0.947 out of my own funds and 0.0152 out of my crypto funds. It adds up as 1 because I've bought one Bitcoin. And the reason why it split it, if I've bought this before I've sold that, it would show me just one line transaction, one Bitcoin, because there were no funds available within my portfolio. Okay, so now let's assume that I want to sell half a Bitcoin, and I want to sell it at, let's make it at today's price. I just want to capture that, or at this price of $6,867, but I only want to sell half a Bitcoin. I'm going to click on the last transaction, right? And I'm going to say sell. Now I'm going to sell Bitcoins. The price, I'm going to capture the price. That will be the price, of course, that you're going to, after you sold it, the exchanges will give you the price. And I'm going to say, comma 5. Remember, please, a comma, not a point. right? And it's a sell, and I say save. Now, the program is clever enough. It's going to do the update. Do you see this reddish color board? It shows it as 0. In other words, what it did was to cancel those two transactions and then said, okay, I sold half a Bitcoin. So those two together, half a Bitcoin, and that was the price at which I sold it. In other words, this portion then will be in cash. I'll show you just now. That's the growth. And the other half is going to take at the price that you originally bought it, because you've only sold a half a Bitcoin, right? And that's that, and this is then the price. So that portion is cash. You'll now have the cash, and this portion, of course, was originally there. Let's go to the cash so that I can show you. And there it shows that you've got $3,438 that you've got in cash from the cryptos. So if we go to the portfolio summary, you'll see that the crypto balance, there's 3,400, the cash balance 3,400, and therefore the own funds that you've invested was 3,925, and therefore the total growth 75.16. And that growth is based on this figure there, which is the actual weighted growth that you're getting. So I think that we're getting to a point where we now can be more accurate in terms of the real growth. Again, forget about the average growth. The only reason why the average growth is there is simply because if you've done 100% universal spread where each and every coin you allocated and cost you exactly the same amount that you've spent in terms of that coin over the 46 or how many coins you may have, then this will work out correctly. I think I'm going to ask my programmer eventually to remove that completely, because we only want to work on the weighing average. And I think that is basically that from this tab. That's your managed portfolio. Okay, and now if we go to the reports, the average growth, this is the average growth. And again, I'm going to ask my programmer to change that so that it shows as not the average growth, but the real growth. Right? And then, the Dreyer crypto psychological indicator. This is going to be the indicator. Please check my other video where I showed you what I'm doing and why I'm not, and why I haven't sold basically anything. I think there's one coin, they changed the story, and therefore I sold it, but I converted it actually into Ethereum. Okay, but that's the only one that I've sold. But again, I will tell you before I'm selling anything or buying anything what I'm going to do. But I base a lot in terms of this fear indicator or the greed indicator. So if there's questions, please let us know. And then the way that I would do it is simply go back to your portfolio. In other words, manage your portfolio, click on the portfolio, go to the cryptos, make sure that the sorting is right, and then start adding all the coins that you bought for that specific crypto. Okay, I hope that helps, and I hope that you're going to enjoy. There's still a lot more that we're going to do on this to make provision for the Wealth Creators Method students to track their real growth, because their real growth is going to be explosive. Okay, so with that, hope that it helps, and give us feedback. See you. Cheers, bye.